Hi, I'm Dr. Lili, and this is my pocket pediatrician. A lot of you know I've been working really hard on a video about food allergies for you guys, and I can't wait to get the final product out to you. In order to put together a good video, I decided to interview several moms of children who have food allergies. And as I've been editing their stories together and working on what I thought was going to be a few minutes of my video, I realized that their voices need to be heard. What they had to say was a lot more valuable than I can squeeze into one of my regular videos, so I wanted to give them an opportunity to tell you their stories. These three courageous women have to live in fear every day that their children are going to encounter something small and seemingly harmless that could kill them. I hope you have a few minutes to listen to what they have to say. How old is your daughter, and what are her allergies, and when were they diagnosed?
So she's almost 3.5.
Them is 8.
My older two were diagnosed probably around like 4 or 5, and now my youngest, who was recently born, she's 2 now, was diagnosed at 12 months.
She was technically diagnosed at 4.5 months, but by a week of age, we knew that there was something wrong.
She was diagnosed at 4 months. She had very bad eczema. She would scratch herself until she starts bleeding. She had cradle cap, and she would scratch her neck, her face, everything. So I went to ask the doctor whether she was allergic to my milk. They found out that apparently she was allergic to the fish that I was eating.
Because she had eczema all over her body from what I was consuming when I was nursing her.
Oldest is allergic to dairy. Middle child is allergic to soy and dairy.
Milk, egg, peanut, tuna, sesame, sunflower, and garlic.
That's right. You have to teach her. You have to start educating them early. But I think because she was diagnosed so early, we were able to really set her off on the right foot. So it was never that she was able to have any of these things. We just didn't give them to her kind of from the get-go.
Allergic to shellfish, all fish, I think. She's allergic to soy. She's allergic to MSG, tree nuts, seeds, and for so long she couldn't eat wheat. She's also allergic to dogs and cats and feathers, and
And she's allergic to soy, dairy, and egg. And egg would be the biggest concern for us because she is anaphylactic to egg.
How have her allergies impacted your lives in terms of socially, work life, all that kind of stuff?
In short, everything.
it's like you cannot have a normal life.
Prior to the allergies, you're kind of carefree. Once you have some serious food allergies like these, it just changes everything in your daily life.
I actually had to quit my job because it was too hard to find a nanny to watch her, and I couldn't put her in daycare because of the number of allergies that she had.
I get literal anxiety leaving my daughter to go to work or to go do anything where I can't bring her with me. Because I fear that other people are going to give her the food that she's allergic to.
I stopped working because I cannot trust anyone to watch my kids. I can't put her in the daycare because every single time she's been in the daycare, there's been an issue. Every single week. They call you, they were wearing gloves, they didn't change their gloves, and then she has a rash and they're calling me.
We specifically had an incident where there was a assistant hired who just wasn't used to basically the allergy protocol in the United States. She would sneak my daughter different types of food that she was allergic to.
I told them, by the time I get there, she will be dead. So you might have to call an ambulance. It's a weekly thing, so I had to quit my job.
It wasn't taken as seriously. And eventually I had to explain that, hey, the next time it might not be just a rash.
Yeah, so I guess she does technically go out of my sight when she goes to preschool, but her teacher is EpiPen trained. She had to take a 2-day training course on food allergies.
And we see a doctor for this. I buy expensive specialty groceries for my daughter that don't contain these ingredients, and I expect the same level of care at the facility.
She's also contact and airborne allergic, so
it's so difficult for me. I haven't been back into Africa just because of that, because I'm worried, because I cannot let her eat food from the plane. I have to take her food with me.
It impacts us socially. We can't go easily to parties where people are eating foods that she's allergic to, and even just going to a fair or going to the library.
Kids jump houses, things like that.
That actually has prevented us from going back to church and going to Sunday school, because a lot of Sunday school teachers are volunteers. They're not trained, obviously. Kids come in there, Sunday breakfast before church.
Even to like a park, our kids walking around with, muffin. That's incredibly hard because my daughter may want it or may try to pick up a crumb off the ground, and so I have to keep a constant eye.
Coffee shop, really going anywhere.
When we go on vacation, we drive most of the time because we are afraid of being in an enclosed environment where people have had cats and dogs and all that.
It's very hard to even send her kids to school.
She's gone back to her diet of a lot of fruits and vegetables, which she doesn't like. And it's so difficult for me to pack a lunch for her. I pack for her like plantains, and she's embarrassed to eat that at school.
New schools try to do a good job with that now, especially with nut allergies. You'll see this is a nut-free facility or this is a nut-free classroom. If your child has an egg allergy, you don't see this is an egg-free classroom.
They sit her at a separate table in school so that when the kids are eating her allergen, she's not exposed.
She's going to get to elementary school and this is going to become a huge problem.
It's just like any other disability, though,
Right.
really. And, kids are bullied for all of their other disabilities, too. And this is just one more thing. They have the kids wash their hands when they first get into the classroom, and then they have their kids wash their hands before and after they eat. So luckily, she's done great. The school's done a really good job of keeping her safe, and I do feel comfortable sending her there, but it took a while to find a school that I felt comfortable with.
It's a very stressful situation, and the other children feel left out sometimes because you're so focused on this one child and making sure that she's fine and making sure that everything she needs is there.
Well, going to restaurants is not something we can do. I have to bring her food.
We can't really eat out. If we do eat out, I have to inspect everything. We've been pretty careful and don't really eat out with the kids now because it's just not worth the risk.
Trick-or-treating for Halloween because she started getting candy in her bucket, and she looks at me and kind of holds it up and says, I can't have any of this.
Holidays, birthday parties, my daughter can't have the cake.
No, but you can trade it in for a toy.
At Thanksgiving or Christmas, I have to bring her an entire plate of food.
I don't like taking her to other people's houses.
I don't leave her really with anybody other than two specific people, and I've literally given a full tutorial to the two people that I leave.
Because she gets excited also, she wants it, and normally people be nice and then they'll give it to her and then it will be an issue.
She could potentially die from this, so now I can't look away.
They don't realize how bad it is. They always think that I am overprotective.
Being like a hypochondriac or something, but it is that severe. And it does alienate you in a way.
If a dog has eaten a food that she's allergic to, then and then licks her, then she'll break out into hives.
My husband doesn't go with me in the store because when I go to the store, I have to take hours and hours reading. I have to read every single ingredient.
They're like, no, thank you, I'm allergic. We've just kind of taught her to say that no matter what.
And so I have to keep a constant eye.
So there are just a number of ways that it's very difficult.
Yeah, so I guess it's become our new normal.
Has she ever had a serious allergic reaction?
She has. She's had a couple, actually.
I've given her the EpiPen 3 times.
Her first one was to yogurt. Okay. So that's when we discovered her milk allergy. She broke out into hives everywhere and started vomiting and was coughing, and I couldn't really tell if she was having trouble breathing, so I had to call 911.
So not fully. We did have a close call. Unfortunately, it was fed an omelet, which is actually how we discovered the allergy in the first place. She had never had eggs before. Was fed an omelet, and close to around the time that we were supposed to be picking her up, and by the time I got her home, she was covered in hives and breathing really funny. Immediately, I thought something seriously wrong. She was only 12 months, so I rushed her into the doctor's office, and sure enough, they said this is a reaction to the egg she just ate, and they handled it in the doctor's office. We made our allergist appointment per their recommendation, and they prescribed her the Auvi-Q.
I was at work, then she ate a donut with sprinkles on it. First of all, she was acting weird. She wasn't talking. She was just, because she was very loud She's so talkative, and so I was like, something is not right. I was telling my husband, and he said, I don't know, you worry too much. So around 6:30, I took her to brush her teeth, and the tongue just, I started freaking out in the bathroom. So I tried to turn her leg and do it. I think I didn't even do it right because I was panicking. She was turning purple, and her cheeks were flushed, and she had hives. She couldn't talk. She was just looking at me, and her eyes were turning red. So we had to just go to the emergency room.
But we had to take her to an emergency room and put her on steroids and have her observed. She was 10 months old.
My husband gave her cereal. He missed the part that says it was made in the place with nuts and soy. That time also we had to take her into the emergency room and give her antihistamines and all that, and put her on oxygen because she couldn't breathe properly.
But she has since then. We did a baked egg challenge, and she did go into anaphylaxis during her baked egg challenge. But we were doing it under observation at the allergist's office.
My sister-in-law was watching her, and she cooked peanut butter soup. So I came back from the store, and she's laying down there. She's so weak, and I said, and I smelled the peanuts immediately, and I said, you can't cook peanuts in here. And just being in the air with the peanuts boiling. So now where we're driving, and she's like, Mommy, I can't breathe. So I had to stop and do the injection again on her leg.
Does she bring her EpiPen everywhere she goes?
Yes. Yeah, so we have the IVQ and we have the EpiPen.
There have been times where I've forgotten it and I've immediately driven back. Got to my destination an hour away and driven an hour back just to get it, just because I'd rather be safe than sorry. And then we also keep an IVQ at her daycare facility, and then we have one at our family's house where if she ever stays anywhere, it's there.
And then also on the side note, I would like somebody else to make EpiPens because it's extremely expensive. This medicine that is life-saving, but it costs a fortune, and every year you have to buy a new pack, and it's not just for one place. You have to buy one for school, one for home, one for when somebody takes them somewhere, or if they go to the daycare, one for the daycare. That's a lot of money. Most people cannot afford that.
What is your greatest fear with her allergies?
That a reaction will go too far and we won't be able to bring her back. That is my greatest fear.
Where I get major anxiety every day leaving for work, just being fearful that something might happen to my child and I might not even find out until it's too late.
That one day she'll be out there and she'll have an attack and nobody would notice. Yeah, of late it just happens and then she stops talking. You don't know. So my biggest fear is for her to be out there, even at school, and she touches somebody's sandwich or, and nobody will realize, and by the time they do, it will be too late, It's not a good place to be in, I'm sorry. You're always scared.
I'm afraid, I worry when she goes to school that somebody's going to bully her. I worry that somebody is going to slide something into her food because they think that her allergies are jokes and that something's going to happen, that she'll accidentally consume something. She won't have an EpiPen on her, or something will happen and we won't be able to rescue her effectively.
Is that I'm not going to be there because I can't be with her all the time as much as I'd love to be. And that something horrible is going to happen and that she won't get the right treatment right away and that she could pass from that. Whew, it's a little bit, it's okay.
What's wrong? That's okay, it won't happen, honey. Sweetie, you're going to be okay. That's why you stay with Mommy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do. I don't let her out of my sight.
I joined this group where this boy ate a cake and they didn't even know that it had nuts in it. He had an attack in the middle of the night. By the time they got him to the hospital, he was gone. I have had nightmares about that, because I always say that because other people don't realize how bad this is and how easily it could go wrong.
My hope is that she outgrows it. But I do know how negligent people can be, not intentionally. You know, it's not like they have any type of animosity towards the child or us or anything like that. It's just not understanding. And for me to not be there and something bad to happen like that, I would largely blame myself. And it's very real. It's a very real fear. We see stuff on the news. We see articles all the time about kids having reactions that either lead them to be hospitalized for long periods of time or passing away. And so I think raising awareness is key, so that parents like myself and my husband can at least have a little bit more ease in releasing their kids out into the world and not keeping them under our wing all the time, you know?
What do you wish other people knew about food allergies?
It's a serious thing. It really makes me so angry when people think it's a joke, you know? Oh, you're just being overly protective.
The biggest thing you can do as a parent to keep our children with food allergies safe is to be sure to wash your child's hands and face before they leave the house after they eat. Just because having that residue on their hands and having another child touch it, residue, and then put it in their mouths, and they've ingested that allergen, and that's very dangerous.
I think it's really important for awareness that people know the reactions and how they can occur and the time periods that they can occur and just the different severities of what can happen.
And a lot of people don't realize that. I know I certainly did not realize that until I had her with my first child. He came out of the house covered in peanut butter all the time, and now I just realized how dangerous that was for other kids.
1 in every 13 children have allergies to something, and can you imagine having somebody's child in your house and something like that happens?
That it's a struggle every day, and the measures that a parent with a child that has any type of food allergy has to take is so extensive.
There's no little reaction. Every reaction can end up in death.
You can teach kids to not share and just realize that this is their own food and they have their own snack, and just keep it to yourself and let another child have their own snack. Then that would keep other children safe and let them see you doing the same thing. Keep your food to yourself as well.
It hasn't happened when they're there to watch, so they really don't think it's a real thing.
It's incredibly hard for the children and the parents, and therefore just pay attention to what you're told and know that allergies are serious.
So until the wave of food allergies changes and they find some cures, then that is something we need to do, because people just don't realize it literally could kill a child. And that's not something that you want to you don't want to put a child's life in jeopardy just because you want to be hospitable. And you don't understand that unless you have kids with food allergies. That's what's so challenging.
Thank you for taking the time to watch their stories. Next week, my food allergy video will be ready for you. I'm interviewing Dr. Hernandez-Trujillo. She is a pediatric allergist and immunologist who specializes in food allergies and also suffers from food allergies herself, as do her children. She brings a level of expertise along with her personal experiences in food allergies that I can't wait to share with you. This is Dr. Lili with My Pocket Pediatrician. Thanks for stopping by.
When the doctor says my child has a condition, I'll learn more at My Pocket Pediatrician.